What's up, PCWorld fans? I'm here today to take the NZXT Kraken 240 all-in-one water cooler for a quick spin. Let's get cracking! First up, this is not a performance test. We see those all over the internet. I've seen a million of them. I care more about usability and things like noise, quiet, how you can configure the fan curves, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna get into that more than performance here. I love AIO coolers because the liquid inside those loops holds a lot of heat. And what that does is reduces the variance in fan speeds as your CPU utilization spikes. So, for example, if you're using an air cooler and you're doing workloads that increase the temperature of the CPU and then decrease the temperature of the CPU, then the fan speed is going to turn up and down as that CPU gets hotter and colder. With a liquid loop, especially one where you're monitoring and basing your fan curves on the liquid temperature instead of the CPU package temperature, the liquid will absorb a lot of that itinerant heat as the CPU utilization goes up and down. And what that means is your fans just ramp up at a gradual curve, and you don't have those annoying vrr, 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 vrrs that happen with air coolers, especially on high-performance CPUs. So AIO's super good at keeping your machine quiet and unobtrusive and not annoying. It's $140. It has 220 millimeter fans, and it has a little tiny screen on it. The screen is really tiny. This is a 1.5 inch screen. It's not edge to edge, although they have this black frame around it and black background on a lot of their graphics, so it looks like it might be edge to edge, but it's actually about that big. When you put a GIF on it or something like that, it really stands out. For me, this is a put the black background infographic on and don't have anything else. It's just so I have a quick way to check my liquid temperature when I'm running the machine. This is the entry level for NZXT's AIOs, and it's an interesting little package. So let's kind of run down the details. The Kraken 240 supports LGA 1851, LGA 1700, LGA 1200 even, and AM4 and AM5. And you can theoretically put it on a Threadripper, but I probably wouldn't do that because I think it's probably not enough cooling for a giant, 64-core CPU. Installation took about 15 minutes. It has one proprietary cable that comes out of the AIO and then goes to SATA power, USB, the CPU fan header, and there's 3 forked plugs that you can plug fans into if you choose. You can also just run the fans off of motherboard headers if you have enough of them on your motherboard, and it really depends on whether you want to control the fans with the CAM software that ships with the cooler or with your motherboard's own configuration or something third-party like fan control. It's worth mentioning that the proprietary cable comes out of the AIO pump, not out of the radiator end. So it is a little bit of a cable snarl in a place that you maybe don't want a cable snarl. It's a big wide ribbon cable that comes right out of the back of the CPU cooler, and it's a little bit hard to manage. I was able to route it up and around on the machines I've tested with. On this open air test bed, it's pretty messy. So NZXT ships CAM software, the CAM, their control software for their all-in-one coolers, all of their peripherals, and it's surprisingly lightweight for a manufacturer-provided tool. It launches in a reasonable period of time, it didn't use a ton of memory, and it gave me really nice control over the fan curves for both the pump and the fans, so I can control the speed at which everything ran in the software that they provide without having to run any third-party tools. So that said, I was pretty pleased with the CAM software's performance. They ship a default silent profile. That's what everything defaults to when you first load up the CAM software. And of course, you can change the curves. You can make custom curves. You can choose their performance settings. You can choose fixed fan speeds if you want. The default silent starts with a relatively low curve at 25 degrees, 25% or 30% fan speed at up to about 40 degrees Celsius. And then that fan speed ramps the higher you get. Now, they ramp all the way up to 90 degrees Celsius before you see full fan speed, which I don't actually like on an AIO cooler. I find that once you get above 60 degrees Celsius, you're probably shortening the life of your AIO because you'll wear out the bearings and stuff in the pump. So I generally have a pretty steep ramp around 50 or 55 degrees Celsius for the water. Typically, if your water cooling is getting to that point, you probably made a mistake. So I was also able to test this using fan control, which gives me a really nice holistic way to control all the fans in my system with one application, which I really, really love. You use the NZXT Kraken plugin for fan control to get support for this particular model, but make sure you check the support page to see what's actually supported before you buy one of these AIOs, because some of them are more supported than others, depending on which model you get. The fans didn't come pre-installed, which means you can do whatever you want with them. You can put them on the inside side of the radiator, you can put them between the radiator and the case, you can put the case between the radiator and them. I don't think you should do that, but you could if you wanted. There's no RGB, nothing fancy. You just have a single 4-pin connector on each one that you can plug into the AIO head unit, or you can just plug it in on any port on your motherboard and control it with your own software. They're entirely serviceable. So overall, I quite like these NZXT coolers. The CAM software is lightweight and quite powerful for manufacturer-shipped software. You're able to adjust your fan curves to do exactly what you want, which is, I want a quiet machine. If you want a high-performance machine, you can do that. They give you the power to make your own choices, which I really, really love. Would I love fan control support built in? Yes, absolutely. I wish that they worked more closely with the fan control developers and gave you that third-party solution that can work with all the fans in your system, not just the ones on your AIO. But this is better than nothing, and it does 90% of what I want. So overall, pretty impressed with this $140 AIO cooler. If you'd like to see more of these, please let us know in the comments below, and we'll take a look at all your favorites, let you know what's good and bad. Thanks for watching.